sending shivers down the public in Pakistan. Uh, but this military response was awaited. What is more significant is they are not only in POK, they are also in Punjab. Punjab, as we know, is the heartland of Pakistan. Murid Ke, one of the sites which is hit, is 30 kilometers outside Lahore, and it is the headquarters of Lashkar-e-Taiba that has been hit, LET. And similarly, Bhavalpur, the headquarters of Jaish-e-Mohammed, which is 100 kilometers, over 100 kilometers from the border. Muzaffarabad, the headquarters of Hizbul Mujahideen, and several other such places have been hit. So I think this is punitive, but it is also a very strong statement. They will be forced to do something now for their public, because the videos that we are seeing in the social media over the last 10 hours or so are all coming from Pakistan. They are making the videos, the social media, the fires are raging, the masjid has been demolished, the cement chunks hanging down from the floor, from the roof. So all this, they have to do something. We'll have to wait and watch as to what they do. Now, Pakistan does not have wherewithal to have, let alone protracted, a short war. It doesn't have ammunition, it doesn't have money. So how far can it go? Can it escalate into a full-blown conflict? To my military mind, not really.
Jai Hind, it's been a long night. India has begun its military revenge for Pahalgam. Indian military struck 9 terror sites inside Pakistan and POK 2 weeks after the brutal Pahalgam massacre. I'm joined by Lieutenant General Satish Dua. He's the former Chief of Integrated Defence Staff to the Chairman of the Chief of Staff Committee. He was the Corps Commander of Srinagar-based Chinar Corps during a crucial period of counterinsurgency operations. He was also at the helm in command during the surgical strikes to avenge the Uri attack. And we will talk to you, sir. Thank you for joining us today. It's a very big day. We'll talk to you about the surgical strikes. But first, sir, your response to India's latest surgical strikes inside Pakistan and POK.
Jai Hind, Aditi, and to all your viewers. I think it gives me a great amount of professional pride to be talking to you today on the morning when a few hours earlier India has successfully launched a bold riposte to the carnage that took place at Pahalgam 2 weeks ago. We had already launched a very bold, very significant diplomatic, political, and economic sanctions or steps had been announced, especially the Indus Water Treaty, which is holding it in abeyance. It is sending shivers down the public in Pakistan. But this military response was awaited. And today we have done just that. In Uri, when for the first time, we made a foray across. And as you said, I was a Corps commander, so I'm well aware that what we did is multiple raids, but shallow, to the terrorist hideouts, to the terrorist camps, very close to the LOC, 2, 3, 4 kilometers. Then in 2019, when Pulwama happened, we lost 40 CRPF Jawans, so we did a precision airstrike deep inside Pakistan, but again at a terrorist camp at Balakot. Now, this time round, what is different is that on the earlier 2 occasions, it was conducted as a surprise operation and announced later. But this time round, the Prime Minister had announced that we will not only get at the terrorists, but also at the terrorism infrastructure, even if it is across the border. And this is what we have done. Precisely that has been done. In these attacks, we've just heard the briefing given by the Foreign Secretary and the defense officers from Army and Air Force. And it has been pointed out very clearly that 21 such sites have been hit. And what is more significant is they're not only in POK, they are also in Punjab. Punjab, as we know, is the heartland of Pakistan. Murid Ke, one of the sites which is hit, is 30 kilometers outside Lahore, and it is the headquarters of Lashkar-e-Taiba that has been hit, LET. And similarly, Bhabalpur, the headquarters of Jaish-e-Mohammed, which is 100 kilometers, 100 over 100 kilometers from the border. So, Muzaffarabad, the headquarters of Hizbul Mujahideen, and several other such places have been hit. So I think this is punitive, but it is also a very strong statement. It is also non-escalatory because no civilians have been targeted, no military installations have been targeted. And I think there lies our measured response. The onus now will be on Pakistan.
Do you believe, however, more is coming, sir? Because in the Indian government briefing a while ago, they spoke about it being an ongoing operation. 21 camps hit. You're right, of course.
Uh, when you say ongoing, the LOC is heated up already over the last 2 weeks. Today, Pakistan this morning has intensified its shelling and firing across the line of control. And in Punch, we've lost a few lives, but civilians, sadly, they don't have a regard to hitting civilian localities. Earlier figure said 3, somewhere I heard 7, and just before coming in, I also heard a figure of 10. I'm not very sure because this is something in progress. So large number of civilian casualties. So LOC duels will go on. When you say ongoing, I'm getting back to that point. So it is going to be ongoing. There is also uh, we expect some retaliation. Pakistan will be forced to do something. We have to see what. After Uri, after the surgical strike, they did nothing and said no. There was no raids. They were only from across the border shelling and missiles, etc. So they didn't sort of own it up and they didn't do anything.
But after
After
Balakot, they did.
after Balakot, they did. That's what I'm coming to that. So after Balakot, they did. What did they do? They actually came a little inside and dropped bombs at some places. Fortunately for us, they didn't hit any military targets, though they were dropped at military installations just inside the LOC. But we lost a plane in that fight. And our pilot, Abhinandan Varma, actually ejected in Pakistan territory. But within 48 hours, they had to sort of backpedal and backtrack. And so that's a different story. So I'm saying there was some engagement. This time round, deep inside, including Punjab, several locations hit. They will be forced to do something now for their public because the videos that we are seeing in the social media over the last 10 hours or so are all coming from Pakistan. They are making the videos, the social media, the fires are raging, the masjid has been demolished, the cement chunks hanging down from the floor, from the roof. So all this, they have to do something. We'll have to wait and watch as to what they do. That is why it is ongoing. But we need to also keep a check on the escalatory ladder, and we'll talk about that.
Right. And that's exactly where I was coming to. Pakistan has, of course, vowed to respond. How
Yeah.
far can India go as far as the escalation metrics is concerned?
So let me put it the other way around. How far can Pakistan go?
True.
Because now we have to look at, because India will only go as far as Pakistan goes, because we said we've done this. This is in response to Pahalgam. And others are ongoing, that diplomatic, economic, and political measures. Now, how far can Pakistan go? We are talking now, I restrict myself to military alone.
Hmm.
Now, Pakistan does not have wherewithal to have, let alone protracted, a short war. It doesn't have ammunition, it doesn't have money. So, how far can it go? Can it escalate into a full-blown conflict? To my military mind, not really. That's a ballpark answer I give. But but what it will do, that will dictate what our response will be. And now I come to that part before finishing this. What should our response be? As an ascending power and a responsible nation, we would like to keep a check on escalation, the escalatory matrix, because it is in no one's interest to have a war, full blown war. This morning news I read somewhere that India has suddenly now jumped to becoming the fourth largest economy today. We overtaken Japan. So with that, do we want it? Yes, we can have it. We have money, we have ammunition, we are prepared. All that is true. So that's where this state of affairs lies.
Interesting. So, the fogs of war, of course, are already at work. Pakistan is making all sorts of claims, crying foul. India has very categorically said that no civilian targets were hit, no military infrastructure was hit. However, one look at, Facebook, and you see how Pakistan has been making all sorts of claim. Their information minister came out first thing last night, and he immediately started talking in terms of civilian casualties, crying foul, saying India targeted civilians. How is India countering that, and how does one how going forward? What do you see happening?
I'm glad you brought this out, because in all the TV debates I've been for several hours and a few days earlier, we really don't talk about this. I think as much as it is in the realm of, I'm talking of our conflict between India and Pakistan, as much as it is in the realm of political, diplomatic, economic, and military measures, I think it is also about a battle of mind space,
Yeah.
because the narratives that are coming across, like you mentioned, Pakistan is making everything, every conflict, even 1971 war, surprisingly, they're making it about their victory, where their country was divided into two.
Hmm.
So it's all a battle of mind space. They're playing to their constituency. Today, things are going out of control as far as fake information, AI generated videos, and things like that going across. I have just reported my own Twitter handle. There is a fake handle with exactly the same display picture, DP, etc., and giving out false information. So I've just reported that. The point I'm trying to make, we should be expected to see more of this, and we should prepare our target audience, our population, to be a little more discerning. Don't don't take everything at its face value. That's where I think we'll have to leave it. We'll have to become, since this generation today has more enablers at their disposal, it is incumbent on them to be a little more discerning as well.
And you're perhaps right, because Indian Foreign Minister Jaishankar's one-line message to the world after these attacks was, "The world must show zero tolerance for terrorism," quote unquote. Because half the war is also the narrative that is
Yes.
being set in the world space, because right now, in an increasingly connected world, people respond. How do you see countries? China has already called out India's military action as regrettable. How do you see this, the global response so far to India's strikes? Is it along expected lines?
I think so. In fact, I would say it is better than it could have been, because China, for instance, you took China's example. China has called out, but overall, if you read through the statement, it is fairly muted. They
Yeah.
still want us to solve, the countries to resolve their issues bilaterally. So they are duty bound to support Pakistan, because they talk of their friendship higher than Himalayas, etc. So they do make that rhetoric. But as in the past, as far as high profile terror attacks are concerned, China is not making very pointed or pithy statements against India.
Hmm.
And I suspect it is because China also wants to be seen as a responsible nation, and because it is hoping to be the next superpower. So, but having said that about China, there are others. Turkey has, for instance, supported Pakistan. Turkey has come out with a statement saying, I don't know where they get this from, because even Pakistan has not said this. So many civilians killed, and so many, I'm forgetting the word. There was something about, I think, tour guides, and I don't know, something like that. They've been killed, things
Hmm.
like that. They've sent a warship, they've sent an aircraft uh, to Pakistan. So Turkey is supporting them very actively. But very few others. UAE has given a very categoric statement, which is not in favor of Pakistan. So statements are still pouring in. But
Right.
US said, I hope this is the last or end of it. Words to that effect. Trump has himself posted.
I hope it
So
ends soon. That's what Trump said. Yes.
that, yeah. So what I'm trying to say overall, now this also connects with the previous discussion that we were having about how long can Pakistan sustain. When Trump says this, the US president himself says this. So then, what are we looking at? We're looking at Pakistan is looking at a monthly dole from from IMF, from World Bank. And if he's looking at that, um, the US tells them to stop, so they will be forced to make changes in their thought process.
Hmm.
So I suppose we are looking at that because Pakistan doesn't have in it to wage war otherwise.
Hmm. Let's just circle back, sir, to the actual surgical strikes on these uh, 9 locations, 24 missile strikes. That's what we are hearing. 70 terrorists killed.
21.
Uh, 70, yeah, 21 missile strikes, 70 terrorists, 70 to 80 terrorists killed in Pakistan and Pakistan occupied. What is the significance of this? You spoke about it earlier. Could you
Yeah,
elaborate a little more the significance of this operation, especially inside Pakistan, going
right.
into going inside Pakistan and hitting the terror bases of Jaish and Lashkar-e-Taiba?
So you see, on earlier two occasions in 2016 and 19, we hit terrorist camps only. This time we've gone deeper. We've
Hmm.
been bold enough to attack sites in Punjab also because they have the terror hubs or headquarters. Because the headquarters of all three major terrorist organizations have been hit. So that is the one part. It stems from a philosophy that terrorists. For instance, let's take these four terrorists who carried out this Pahalgam carnage. Terrorists are an expendable commodity.
Right.
Operations are going on for last 2 weeks. We will catch them. Terrorists have a shelf life. He will be killed, if not today, then tomorrow. If not here, then there. That'll happen. So that's the tactical part of it. But the larger thing is to hit at this hubs and headquarters. More than a statement, it is now striking at the base. It is not like Balakot, it is not like Uri. We are now hitting at the hubs and headquarters. So the infrastructure is being dismantled. But uh, does it mean to say that, do I mean to say that there will be no more terror coordination from those headquarters now because we bombed a few buildings where terrorists were there and we've killed, say, 80 terrorists, roughly, whatever. Now, I think, no, they will also be replaceable. We have started doing this for the first time, just like Israel does that targeted,
Strikes.
sites. We've done that. But I think the larger thing to be done over here is because who controls these terrorists? Because these terrorists and the terrorist organizations are also puppets of the
Right.
ISI.
It's Pakistan Army and ISI at the end of the day.
Yes, Aditi, ISI and Pakistan Army. So what do we do? Do we hit the GHQ? Do we hit the army headquarters or hubs? I think the better way would be to somehow to hit the Pakistan army. There are different ways of doing it. There are the commercial establishments of Pakistan military, because Pakistan military has a huge commercial complex, as we all are aware. Then a better way is perhaps to make the Pakistan army unpopular for their own public, because we are already seeing the simmerings of that. And we've seen several times. After all, last year we saw how the corps commander's house was ransacked by the people. True, a couple of years ago, and true that popular leader is now in jail, Imran Khan. But the point is, public has already shown that anger. They're capable of doing it. What is happening with the water treaty suspension is something on those lines, because there is a great deal of disenchantment in the public. Protests have broken out in Sindh. Day before yesterday's the visuals of people walking across Chenab riverbed is sending shivers down in Pakistan. Pakistan has already announced water-intensive crops not to be grown. I think it's cotton and rice. So the thing is, these are the measures. So it has to be, all these things have to converge. Military responses with the diplomatic and political responses already announced, when they converge, we can make it difficult for the Pakistan military that controls the whole terror network.
And that seems to be the strategy being adopted by the Indian government so far. In fact, as you rightly pointed out, sir, India exercised maximum restraint in just targeting these terror sites, not provoking or hitting military installations inside Pakistan. However, but these terrorist groups, they often embed, and as we've seen in Sialkot or in Muzaffarabad, they often embed their facilities in very densely populated civilian areas,
Yes.
complicating this effort to avoid non-combatant casualties.
So, you raise a very interesting point. Um, I've been saying this over the last few hours, in our discussion groups, that this is something that we do on the LOC at a very tactical level. That the civilian, because the civil population in both sides lives right up to the line of control, because the fields exist there, the houses are there. Sometimes LOC runs through a village itself, and we tell the locals, our people shout across and tell them, don't give shelter to terrorists. When they don't, let your house be used as a launch pad, because the terrorists come on the line of control. They live in some
Right.
house. For say 4 or 5 terrorists live in a house for 2 or 3 days, because they recce the route, they keep watching our patrolling pattern, our ambush sites, and things like that. So we've done that often at different ranks and levels. I've done this. So there we make sure we tell them, if you harbor terrorists, because we can make out new faces. We know every child, every woman, every goat, everything we know in that opposite side. So we tell them, if you harbor terrorists, we will shoot at them, and then you'll be collateral damage. Right? Now, extending this to the larger question, this is what we need to do. Murid came. The camp, I beg your pardon, the LET headquarters is in populated area, or any other place for that matter. Sialkot is a populated area. So there, today we have targeted, our targeting has been precise. Even Pakistan is not claiming that civilian casualties have occurred so far. Anyway, the point is, we have to make it known. That's where our narrative comes into play. If they can use this issue of mind space, we also need to use that and get it across to the public. Like I said, the earlier idea about how to make Pakistan army unpopular with the public of Pakistan. Similarly, we need to tell them there will be a cost to pay if you let the terrorist hideouts, residences, headquarters, hubs be in your populated areas. This is what has happened in Gaza. Haven't they done that?
Hmm.
There has been
Exactly.
massive collateral damage. We don't want to be, every country has a different philosophy. I'm not going to comment on Israel. I just visited there on their invitation. I was there 2 months ago. I've seen all this in Gaza and there's no music fest. My point is, we don't want to do it. We must tell that public, we must put out that narrative that you also, just like that LOC thing, don't let terrorist hubs be next to your inhabitation.
So let me just end by asking you, do you think the Pahalgam revenge is complete, or do you see more coming?
Um, Second guessing the leadership wouldn't be a good thing to do at the present moment, when we are still, in fact, the whole information flow is also not yet complete.
True.
So at the present moment, I wouldn't be foolish enough to do it, because we have to leave it for the present leadership to do it. We are having a discussion over here. So uh, I will not like to categorically comment that if this is ongoing or is it over. But all I can state very categorically is, India has stated that we have done this because you did Pahalgam. We have done it without without collateral damage of civilian casualties, without hitting any military installations. So from our side, it is non-escalatory. So in a sense, what you're saying, in fact, in 2016, the Director General of Military Operations actually said this. Now the onus of escalation rests on you. Here also the implication is same. Onus of escalation now rests on Pakistan. Our next responses will depend on their response.
Interesting. And they have, of course, on the face of it, at least, they have said that they are going to respond. So
Yes.
let's see how that plays out. 70 terrorists, of course, killed as India carried out 24 missile strikes across 9 locations in Pakistan and Pakistan occupied Kashmir to avenge the Pahalgam terror. Of course, India clearly demonstrating that it is no longer ready to tolerate cross border terrorism nor the complicity of Pakistan's state institutions that enable this cross-border terrorism. Thank you so much, sir, for talking to us. There are,
Thank you.
eventualities that are going to occur over the next hours, days, and we'd love to speak to you some more. We hope to see you again.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Jai Hind.
Jai Hind, sir.